What's going on, my Magic the Gathering newbies? You're here because you want to learn Magic the Gathering, and I've already made 2 other parts, going over the basics, going over the draw phase. So now I'm going to get into the battle, and we're going to do a very simplified battle phase. Now, there's so many different abilities and different types of attributes and things like that that the creatures have, but we're just going to be very simplified because that's the way that I do these training videos to show you from there, and then the future videos will get into more of the harder stuff and more to wrap your brain around. So once again, we're going to get into this, and I'm going to show you the battlefield. So here you can see the battlefield and my fluffy opponent right there, my little dragon from How to Train Your Dragon. I'm using dragons versus her, that she's using vampires against me. Those blood-sucking vampires. So right now, as you can see, I would have 2 creatures out, and she has 2 creatures out onto the field. Now, we're going to get a closer look. You're going to see that my 2 dragons versus her vampires. I have a 4/4 dragon with the ability of flying. And again, in future videos, I'll go into all the different abilities. But flying, flying can only be blocked by other creatures with flying. Think about it. You're a person on the ground and a jet flies past you. What are you going to do? You can't do anything, right? You need another jet in order to fight that jet. So again, this is a dragon flying. If they have a ground troop, you're not going to be able to do anything about that. Now, my other creature here, right, because remember, it's a creature. These are both creatures, as we can see from that. This creature does not have flying. So this creature is a ground troop, so which is a 1/1. Now let's swap over to my opponent's monsters. My opponent's monsters here on the battlefield, you can see we have 2 vampires. We have one who is a ground troop, a 3/2, and then we have another vampire who is flying, that's a 3/3, right? So we got to keep in mind what the attack and defense, or as we like to call it in Magic, power and toughness are for each of them. So let's just say that it's my turn and I'm going into my combat phase. Remember, we went from last video that you go from your upkeep and then you go to your draw phase where you draw your 1 card. And then after your 1 card, you go into your main phase 1, where you're going to put down a land. Remember, 1 land per turn. You're going to summon your creatures. You're going to, anything that you need that you're going to pay lands from your hand in order to summon onto the battlefield. Enchantments, use sorceries, instants, all of that we went over in the previous videos. So now we enter into our combat phase, because now I'm ready to attack. Now, we need to remember, and I'm going to go back over here, okay, that we have on this side, and you're always going to pay attention to what's going on. We have a 3/3 flyer, and we have a 3/2 ground troop. So let's go back here. And we're going to see on our side, we have a 4/4 flyer and a 1/1 ground troop, okay? Now, if I was to declare an attacker, and I wanted to attack with my 4/4 flying, my opponent here, my fluffy opponent, as you can see, is only going to be able to block my 4/4 flyer with their 3/3 flyer. So the best thing for me to do at this point, I'm not going to attack with my 1/1 ground troop, because my 1/1 ground troop is just going to get demolished because their creatures are more powerful. So now what I do is declare my attackers. So I'm going to declare the attack. And this is why I love these type of playmats, and I'll put a link down below for a really good one. So I'm going to declare my attacker and throw it into the combat zone. Now, my fluffy opponent over here has the ability to declare defenders. In Magic the Gathering, you do not choose who you're attacking unless you have some type of card effect that does that. 95% of the time, you are going to be just declaring an attacker, and then they have the ability to say if they want to defend or if they just want to take it straight to their life. Remember, in a 60-card game, you have 20 life. my fluffy opponent here would only have 20 life. So now, the best thing for to do in this situation is probably defend. So if she wanted to defend with her 3/3 flyer, she would send it out to block, and she would choose who she wanted to block. In this case, there's only one creature, so she can block this as a 3/3. Now, we're going to put as the example, if this creature happened to have flying at the same time, if only it had flying, you can block one creature with multiple creatures in order to do that. So let's say this did have flying and she used this to block. Now, the power would add together to destroy my 4 toughness. This would be 3 and 3, which is 6, to go against my 4. Now, if they were able, if this had flying, which it does not, so we can't do that, but I'm doing the example, if it did have flying and the 2 of these did block it, their 2 powers would hit this toughness to kill my dragon. And then at that point, then I would be able to choose my power on who I want to deal damage to. So I would have 4 to go against this 3 toughness or this 2 toughness. So if 2 of them were blocking, I'd be able to do 4 straight damage to this person and knock them off, and she would still live. Okay? Now, in combat, you can choose as many blockers as you want to block one creature. So it's like in real life. You could have 5 people gang up on one person, right? Okay? That's the way that works. So in this case, this is not a flyer. This is just a flyer. This is being blocked. This creature goes to the graveyard and is dead. My creature goes back to the battlefield tapped. Okay? Creature, after it attacks, becomes tapped. And the reason why it becomes tapped is because now this creature is exhausted. It's so tired from fighting. And when it goes to my opponent's turn, my opponent, if they're going to attack me, I cannot block with this creature because my creature is exhausted. It's sleeping now until my next turn. Okay? So that is what tapping a creature is going to do. However, I did not attack with this ground troop, so this ground troop is still able to block anything that my opponent throws at me. So that was just one basic way of attacking. You saw 2 creatures versus 2 creatures, okay? I made it very basic. Now remember, the point of Magic the Gathering is to get past your opponent's creatures in order to knock out your opponent's creatures so that you can get straight to the wizard's life. You want to get rid of those 20 points of life. Or if you're playing Commander, 40 points of life. But again, we start with 60 cards because that is the basic way. That's the slick way of doing it. So you want to get to their life and you want to do everything possible. Hope you all enjoyed. Remember to like, follow. I'm going to make plenty more of these videos. Again, go back to my past 2 videos and you'll see all the explanations. Have a great day, everyone.